Hey, what's up, everybody? Hey, what's up, everybody? Hey, what's up, everybody? Hey, what's up, everybody?
Hello there.
Hey, what's up, D6? This changes up the entire mechanics of the vehicle. Oh my god.
I have General Beers.
Explosions! You can have this guy up in the ATST. Obi-Wan, oh no, stop it, stop it. Look at the fucking mustache, man. Oh no. What's up, everybody? Hello, and welcome to this very, very special episode of the Shed Show. Welcome in everybody that is new here. So just to talk you through it a little bit, I was at work and I knew that this stream was coming up because I'm making a video for absolute beginners for Star Wars Legion. And I wanted to make that video last week, but then my community, or Mas Geek specifically, he told me that there was a live stream on, well, today, the 15th. And I wanted to wait it out. But I was home. You know, I don't have a lot to do tonight, so I was like, why not throw on the stream and watch it with you guys. Now there's a few things technically that I hope it is going to work out, but you know, just let me know if something is not correct, like if the audio is annoying, something like that. And I want to welcome Turkey Dog, hello, for the first time chat. I also like the direction Legion is going. I was kind of reluctant at first and a bit critical on the branding and everything. Yeah, I made a mopey little video about it. You can check it out on the YouTube. But you know, over the past few months, you know, the hype got real, and yeah, we're pretty happy to see what is happening. Thank you guys so much. So Electronugget, thank you so much for the sub. 3 months. That is pretty nice. So yeah, this stream is really. Oh, thanks guys. Thank you guys, and thanks Celestia as well. This stream is really just to talk to you guys about what you are excited about, what we're going to see at this developer update. I don't think we're going to see a lot of big new things. I talked about it with Electronugget, who is over in the chat as well. Because I was mentioning that, you know, a 2-player starter set, that's what we're missing, a 2-player starter set. So maybe, you know, Gungans, I don't know, like could happen. But then again, he said like, well, they're really going for that 1-player starter set. And while that is true, I cannot think of a game that doesn't have a 2-player starter set. Warhammer, Bolt Action, Conquest, they all come with 2-player starter sets. So I don't know, maybe. It would be very cool if we would see that today. The chances are very small, but yeah, maybe. We don't know. And I think it's going to be mostly gameplay updates. See how they balance everything, because I think balancing is needed in Legion. I haven't played a lot of the new Legion. In fact, I only played a couple of games since last year, basically. So it is going to be interesting to see what is happening tonight. And Turkey Dog, transition to 2.0 was less than ideal, to say the least. Yeah. It really was less than ideal. And I made lots of comments about that, and yeah, I hope I can put it to rest now, because I just love Legion, you know. I just love Legion, and I cannot see a life without Legion for me. But yeah, I hope all of you are doing okay. And yeah, in the meantime, I've been playing Bolt Action again. I've been playing Moonstone. I played a game of Moonstone in which I got obliterated. It was a league game, so that was kind of a bummer. But yeah. We know there's an update for Jin, Lando, and Kellis. Yes, the rest might not change that much, but I'd like to see tweaks for a bunch of stuff. Yeah, what would you like to see, Electronugget? Because I know that you've been playing Legion a lot lately. So what is it that you hope for? And Nick, yeah, the card packs, the update on the card packs are already. They've already been revealed, right? It's just a matter of getting it here. Hey, thank you so much for the follow, and welcome in. Janoskip. I'm going to say Janoskip. So yeah, this is also the first time that I'm really doing some Star Wars Legion content again. It's been a while. Like I said, like with the transition from 2.5 to 2.6, basically. I've been playing other games and I'm trying out other games because that's what I want to do this year for the YouTube channel. So if you're over at Twitch and if you're new here, just know that I create lots of videos. Same username, The Winners on YouTube. Check it out if you want. There's going to be a video this week, and it's probably going to be about Star Wars Legion. It is going to include the information that we hear today, because that's what Moss Geek was telling me to wait for, and I was like, yeah, that's a good one. In the meantime, maybe we can go over to what has been revealed. This is the roadmap that we got earlier, and we talked about it earlier as well. Yeah, this is the stuff that's already out. I think Celestian got some stuff for this as well. Right, Celestian? It's a long list, Electronugget says. Empire needs help. Sleepers need help to be a bit more expensive. Okay. I haven't played with the sleeper cell. I think they're the coolest minis out there. Like for the Rebels, again, if you're new here, Rebels is where it's at for me. I'm a Rebel at heart. I play like X-Wing, I play Rebels. Star Wars Legion, I play Rebels. Shatterpoint, probably going to play a little bit of Shatterpoint, because I got the core set for a ridiculous price. So I just picked it up. Going to play Rebels in that as well. But I am going to be looking at the Republic as well. Because Republic is something that I'm very, very, very excited about. Rebels are top tier faction right now. Sleepers are very efficient point wise. So maybe they're going to update that right now. I don't know if there's like going to be a rules update included in this developer update, but we'll see. This was a cool thing, I think, the weekly organized play kit. It's a thing that GW also does. You go to the store, you do some stuff, you paint, I think. Does it say? Yeah, play a game, paint a new unit, teach someone new to play. That is a good one. That is smart. And you get the promo card. I'm probably going to do this. I'm going to try and do this. Yeah, I'm a rebel at heart, for sure. Yeah. So just a little disclaimer for this stream, you guys. I literally just made it up. I was like, okay, let's just go live and watch it together. So if it's going to be total shit show, I'm sorry, and you should definitely go over to the Atomic Mass game stream. But I think we're going to be fine. I think we're going to be fine. And while you're at it, you see it in the chat, join the Discord if you want. Anyone else that has some predictions for whatever we're going to see tonight? Because I might hype it up a little bit too much. It's probably just going to be like a word from the developers, right? Not so much new reveals, but what are you looking forward to? And I'm curious to know. Celestrian, our moderator, thank you so much for the introduction message, by the way, Celestrian. You also got this, right? I think they're live now. Atomic Mass. Is something happening already, or... They're on their intro, okay. Ah, there we go. Cool. So it's happening soon. Cool. Yeah, maybe just let me know when it's starting, so we can jump into it. I'm not going to talk over every single thing that happens, so let's just watch it together, and maybe afterwards talk about it a little bit. I think that's a great idea for this one. And I'm going to adjust the volume a little bit later. Do they have audio on their stream right now, Celestrian? So unless there's like a super exciting announcement or something that we can jump in a little quickly. Okay, cool. Very quiet. Okay, let's just keep it like this for now, and we'll jump in whenever they get started. Yeah, like I mentioned, we're just going to see what it is. Yeah, I know, Electronugget. We got a lot up for on Adepticon, but I am actually very, very excited to hear from the devs as well. Like, there has been lots of talk. Okay, there we go. Let's see. Hey all, for someone who wants to get into playing Legion, should I wait for the new core sets to release? Hey, Unite, I highly recommend, and this is not, it is kind of a shameless plug, but I highly recommend subscribing to my YouTube channel, because I'm going to make a video about this very topic for Friday or Saturday. So yeah, I'm going to talk about what's best to do for beginners, and yeah, because there's like old starter sets now, there's the new ones coming, there's soft plastic, there's hard plastic, there's outdated cards, there's all kinds of stuff, and yeah, that video will be made tomorrow. So yeah, I can recommend my own channel. I'm sorry for that shameless plug, but yeah. I know that they are confusing, and yeah, that is exactly the reason. I'm not going to make like an update for what everyone should get or what's the best to get right now. It's going to be geared towards beginners, because I said from the start, when the changes were there, this is very, very, very confusing for beginners, especially the ones who just bought a starter set. So yeah, that's what I'm here for You know, that's what I'm doing. I'm making beginner Legion videos. I never do like in-depth tactics and that kind of stuff. And any tips for that video, guys, still welcome. Because I have a bunch of points that I'm going for a few different approaches. Because there's a bunch of stuff that you can do. Like I said, do you care about make Palpatine great again?
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the April 2025
Let me know if the audio is okay.
Update for Star Wars Legion. I'm here with my fabulous fellow developer folk, Will Pagani.
Hello.
And Andrew Durson.
How's it going, guys?
So for those who have stumbled across this stream, welcome. Weird that you did that, but let me give you a rundown of what we'll be doing today. Today is going to be part one of our twice yearly developer update, where we're going to talk about all of the things concerning Star Wars Legion. This one, of course, is a big one. If you watched the roadmap video or presentation during Adepticon, you know that today is the day where we're going to be dropping all of the updated cards for Star Wars Legion, which we began last year with the 2.6 stuff at Mini Stravaganza in 2024. And today we complete that journey with everything updated in the new format, in the multilingual stuff and all of that, setting us up for the release of those cards in physical printed formats coming this August. Currently is the expected date for those. Where you'll be able to get the real versions if print and play is not your style. If print and play is your style, you're going to have everything today ready to go with all of the stuff that's going to be coming out later this year in the starter boxes, in those card backs, and everything else. In addition to talking about the last remaining rebalanced units, of which there are not that many, as we've mentioned many times, the vast majority of them were completed last year in order to give players all of the cool stuff up front to be able to play with and enjoy and take a look at. We do have some characters we're going to talk about today, 3 of which were previewed at Adepticon. We have 2 more added to that pile, and that will take us through that section. We also have a big update to the core rulebook in terms of little things. I say it's big because it is quite sweeping in terms of the language changes and updates that we've done. All this stuff bringing us into a brand new edition for the game. So
brand new
if
edition.
you're getting used to calling it 2.6 or anything like that, you don't have to call it that anymore. You can just call it Legion. Because that's where we're at now. We're resetting the clock, and everything is back to square, normal, 0.
Finally.
Reset to 0, right?
It's a clean
Something
slate.
like that. Clean slate. I like clean slate. So, of course, with that moment and the new starters coming, we wanted to take this opportunity to really dive in, clean up all of the rules language, make consistent styles, fix some things that were causing confusion or issues, and all that. We're going to talk all about that stuff as well today. So with that, let's go ahead and just dive into style and language changes.
Yeah, so as Schick said, part of one of the big things of this Legion refresh was we went through the rulebook and we created a new style guide for Legion. So a new kind of way of templating language and phrasing rules and mechanics to make things a little bit more clear and uniform. So as part of this, we did a language pass and we rewrote every single card in the game to conform to this new style guide. So we've got this Grievous 2-pip Supreme Commander card on the screen because this is a very good example of some of these new elements from the style guide. So you notice there's some new changes. For example, character and unit names now are bolded for ease of recognition. Keywords are going to be in the keyword style. Some game terms like round, order, trooper have been capitalized for easier recognition. Icons are now used in the game text when applicable. So things like your courage value, your range, things like that.
Which is great.
Have been put on the cards just to make it a little bit easier to read everything. You'll also notice one of the big changes as part of this language pass is at, within, and beyond have been changed to within, completely within, and not within. And I know Schick and Pagani, you all have talked about this in various podcasts and stuff, but the reason we did this was to just kind of make it the definition of these words in the game rules kind of more conform with their, normal English definitions.
Yeah, when we are looking at language and how to portray rules, right, we see what questions pop up inside the Discords, inside the Facebooks, inside of all these different communities and stuff. And we saw a lot of like, well, this says at. What is what does that mean? Like, is it just at the end of the template, or is it the whole range band? Or thing? Like, well, actually, it's neither. It's all of this stuff. And then you'll also notice that another big one that comes up all the time is how long does this command card last? There's no duration here. So another big part of the language pass was adding timing clauses and durations onto all the effects of the game. So between those two things, hopefully we can remove a lot of the questions on that kind of stuff, and then we can also bring clarity for like when things happen, how they happen, all that kind of stuff that fits directly into the timing charts inside the rule books and things like that. So really hoping for a lot of clarity here, a lot of concise language, a lot of similar language, so things that do similar things will always use the same templating and things like that. Whereas this may not necessarily be as exciting as unit changes, which we will get to soon. It is a very important thing to have done and to do in all of this.
So let's talk, before we dive into the reworked units, which of course is what everyone wants to see, let's talk a bit more about the rest of the rulebook changes that you're going to get in the core rules update that's going to go live right after this panel. So we have a quick slide that's just going to give you a quick overview of the ones that we're going to touch on. These are the biggest ones. Of course, the language pass also has some little bits of touches on everything else. So let's start with area terrain is getting revamped and revitalized. A big thing that we talked about is wanting to see more area terrain used on tables. However, the previous rules and how area terrain functioned made it so that it was really not a pleasant thing for players to kind of suss through and determine and those kinds of things. And also didn't add a lot of value to tabletops in general. So there's been some pretty big adjustments there to make area terrain something that we're going to see more. As war gamers, we love area terrain. It's some of the coolest terrain that you can have on the table. Making sure that it functioned well was important. So there's some talk us through how area terrain has been adjusted.
Yeah, so as Schick said, the rules before were kind of intended as kind of a catch-all for whatever kind of area terrain you wanted, and they worked very well for some things, and then for other things it got kind of unintuitive. So we've cleaned up area terrain for clarity. Now the kind of footprint or the base of the area terrain blocks, it still has a silhouette, you know, for the height of the terrain, but it now blocks line of sight through it. And units can see into and out of it, right? So if you have a piece of area terrain, you know, between two units, they can't see through it, but they can see units that are inside it, and units inside can see out of it. It gives you cover. You know, this will be a little bit more intuitive and clear, and kind of,
I think,
you know, be a more blanket rule that will work with whatever kind of area terrain that you come up with on your battlefield.
Yeah, between forests, ruins, wrecked vehicles, you know, all the cool things that we often think about that belong on a battlefield for a war game. We want to be able to see that as well. So we're excited about those changes. And then, of course, on that list, we had command, hand, and orders. This is a specific one. You saw it a little bit with Ahsoka Tano with her reveal at Adepticon, where all of a sudden these command cards had Ahsoka Tano, Padawan Commander. If I'm getting those two, I want to say Padawan Commander, Padawan.
Yeah,
Padawan Commander.
Base.
I got it. I'm there. I'm only on three cups of coffee. I need three more at least to be able to function.
Counting the base.
And then how that differentiates her from the Rebels version of Ahsoka. This is going to become a thing that is now clarified in the rules. And there is an adjustment to 2 command cards currently that exist. I'll let you talk about that and kind of what the goal is. Pagani, if you want to talk a little bit about that for what's going on.
Yeah, so we've just kind of expanded the command hand and the issuing orders rules a little bit to kind of make way for, okay, so what happens if you want to have a command card that is for, you know, more than one unique character? So you're going to see this in the update now that Kalani and Kraken is the name of the unit, right? So now their command cards say Kalani or Kraken on them. So we just kind of expanded the rules to, you know, allow for that opportunity, or situations, you know, in the future we could have like a, you know, 2 characters kind of having like a team up card, so it would be like this character and this character, which would require both. So we just kind of tweaked the rules to kind of open that design space. One of the other things that is Schick said we want to talk about with the command cards is going forward, when especially, you know, when we have things like Luke and Han on the horizon, we're going to be seeing a lot more of new versions of existing characters. And one of the things that we're going to do with these new versions of characters is their new command cards won't necessarily always be for all the previous versions. So you're going to see with Luke and Han, for example, some of their command cards are kind of siloed to that iteration of the character. And applying that retroactively, you're going to see that 2 of Operative Luke's command cards, You Serve Your Master Well and I Am a Jedi, are now restricted to that version of Luke. So you won't be able to take you know, those with Commander Luke. And this opens up the design space for us, because when we make, you know, like a new Luke or a new Han or Vader, whoever, right? It means that we don't have to necessarily worry about how this new command card interacts with an old version of the character, and it lets us have more freedom with that new design.
Absolutely. And as you just said, to touch a little bit more on sort of the why.
And the old cards?
Well, quite frankly, I Am a Jedi was really, really good on Tauntaun Luke. So instead of having to completely bend his design around that and all those different things, 'cause he's obviously much faster because he's on a Tauntaun, we decided to just limit that to the Luke that is a Jedi.
Yeah, and this goes back, you know, we've talked a lot over and over again so many times with the new Legion, the rebalance and everything they're working for, is to see more characters on the table, right? To open up possibilities for players who want to take more of their favorites in their armies. And one of the key things of doing that is obviously mitigating the command card hand. If you feel like you have to take all 6 command cards for a specific character to make them work, that becomes a problem because it means that you can't take the command cards that you need for your other characters. So being able to put power into the characters and not necessarily have to, as Pagani mentioned, bend design around the fact that a powerful command card exists that previously any version of that character could take, allows us to really dive into the lore of Star Wars, to be able to see multiple iterations of these characters, and to do some very cool things when it comes to future design that we're excited to show you. Let's go ahead and jump to movement. This is a pretty easy one.
Yeah, this is just a very easy quality of life change that I'm sure some people weren't even aware of. But we've altered movement to make sure when you move your unit, you can now move other miniatures in the unit out of the way to move your unit leader. So before, actually, the other grunts in the unit blocked the placement of the unit leader. Now that's just kind of a very small quality of life thing to let you have a little bit more freedom movement to go where your unit leader should be able to go.
And then there was also language updates for
that is a good one.
To solidify everything and clarify.
The big ones are reverse and strafe are just now standard moves. I know there's been a lot of confusion in the past of like, well, how does this work with notch bases in particular? Like, which parts of the movement do you ignore? Those have been simplified to just being standard moves.
And then a quick update for line of sight. Arms and legs no longer count for silhouettes of vehicles, and there's a couple other things to go along with that, just to kind of like rein in things.
Sorry, Aqua Droids, your arms and legs no longer block line of sight. The other big one for line of sight is miniatures no longer block line of sight to other miniatures in the same unit. So like if you have speeder bikes or Aqua Droids or something, you can't, one of them does not block line of sight to the other one behind it.
This is another big technical one that probably a lot of people didn't even realize, where you could block line of sight so they could only see one of the speeders and they could only destroy one of the speeders. They couldn't destroy all of them, for example.
And shooting
so once again,
through an ATRT, ATST legs?
Impact on the majority of things. We did say that legs do not block line of sight. Correct me if I'm wrong here, though. The silhouette for a ground trooper is still from the top down, so you will you can't see between their legs.
Correct.
It's just if your leg is sticking off or up.
Like a crab droid, right? Like the crab droid that has a leg that comes up
that goes
a little
way
bit.
up.
Correct.
So
goes out.
Yeah, that the leg is specifically
there's
talking about the crab
not a
droid,
particularly functional change here. I just don't want people to freak out.
Because
like, oh my God, you can see through the ATST legs. No.
Not quite.
And you can't model your ATST leg doing something wild. I don't know.
I apologize.
I apologize.
Don't get too crazy.
He's doing the splits, right?
Okay.
If your ATST to do the splits, then it blocks a lot of stuff. And then we have some updates to keywords. We can walk through those pretty quick.
Yeah, it's just some kind of quality of life things. Cache now works even if the miniature with it is defeated. Kind of another small one is self-destruct is no longer an attack. Now it's just a dice roll that gives out suppression and does wounds depending on what you roll. Tow cable, the air speeder, now can immobilize units potentially. Small has been the small keyword has been rewritten for clarity and about like who can get attacked and who can get removed. And then finally, this kind of dovetails into our reworked units. We've removed some keywords. So contingencies, flawed, and loadout are no longer part of the game. And a new keyword, one step ahead, has been added.
Which we'll get into.
Which we will get into.
Now?
In just a second.
And it's probably important to also mention that the not necessarily a new unseen keyword, but one that folks have been asking quite a bit about since Adepticon, the Shen Mastery keyword has also been added to the book.
That will be added, yes.
That burning question will be answered once that document becomes available right after this. So let's do the reworked units. There are 5 big ones that we're going to cover. They're all characters. and
Gotcha.
they're all characters from Rebels and Empire. There are some minor reworks on various units, mostly concerning their weapon ranges.
Yeah, there's
and a couple other minor things.
There's a couple of instances where if you're familiar with the last update, or Callus is a good example here. There's some units where if they had like a different melee weapon and a shorter range attack, it kind of just got condensed into one weapon. But yeah. Like,
but overall, those reworks are minor. We're not really going to go over them because they'd be very quick. Like, look at the card; it does this.
Right.
We wanted to really focus on these last 5 big rebalances. We're going to talk about these. We're going to talk about their command card changes, and just dive into it. So let's go ahead and just start with Jin.
Yeah, so with Jin, obviously she is now an operative instead of a commander. With Jin, we wanted to make a really cheap and short range kind of like harasser, disruptor type skirmishing character to kind of like fit in with her. She's just kind of going around causing mayhem like she does in the movie. So independent move plus disengage here is really like the highlights of her kit. It makes her very hard to pin down. It also triggers her Agile 1, so she can get a dodge token to spin with Nimble, which can make her pretty tanky, especially if she's got cover. So she's just kind of running around, causing mayhem everywhere. The infiltrate means that she gets to go where she wants in round 1 to cause maximum disruption. We've tweaked some of her command cards a bit.
Yeah, Pagani can actually walk us through those if you want to.
Oh.
Since you've got them on your screen, that's why we all have computers. Fancy.
Is that why?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I Rebel was updated too. I will just read
Renamed and updated, in fact.
Well, there you
According to this document here in front of me.
Brilliant.
So unless
her
Dursum's
one pip
telling
is now
tales out
I
of school.
Rebel. I Rebel?
I Rebel.
Jyn Urso gains charge during her next activation, and once this round, when an enemy unit within range 2 and line of sight of Jyn Urso starts its activation before its rally step, Jyn Urso may gain 1 suppression token. If she does, she may make a free move action and then may make a free attack action.
Okay.
So it kind of gives her her independent move, right? Because if she does stuff, then you can get that kind of thing. And it really gives her that, like, she's getting the jump on people. So I really like this card because it makes it very unpredictable when you're going to play it and how she's going to do in that turn and what she's going to do. Because the new sort of theme for Jyn is just unpredictability, awkwardness, being like, how can I manipulate when my moves happen, when my activation happens, when all these things happen to disrupt my opponent as much as possible.
And be a massive pain in the butt, right? Like,
Yeah,
that card gives her basically a super standby that you can't get rid of.
Yeah. So it's
Wow.
a very awkward for your opponent to play around, right? And then Rebellions Are Built on Hope is her new 3-pip card, which orders 3 trooper units. Once again, these are all in the document posting here in just a little bit. And is when this unit is issued, or when a unit is issued an order with this card, it may gain 1 suppression token. This round, while an allied trooper unit has a face-up order token, it gains Danger Sense 2, Indomitable, and cannot be suppressed or panicked.
So that was a complete rework from her old card, Complete the Mission.
And this one I like. You can give Danger Sense to units that are in trouble. You can help people out. You can get suppression mitigation with Indomitable. And, of course, can't be suppressed or panicked. So, like, there's just a lot going on with this card that sort of shows her inspirational values and stuff that you see in the movie. And it is a very much, like, go time card, I guess. So...
Yeah, it makes you really right. You get the bonuses while you have the face-up card, so it makes you very tanky at the beginning of the round before they go, and kind of leans into that kind of flavor with the Rebels of, okay, we just got to hold out a little bit longer, to do what we're going to do, complete the mission, and we might not make it out, but if we get the plans away, we succeeded, kind of right. And Jyn is really an example of some kind of a design philosophy that we have for the commanders and operatives of. We really want to like explore this kind of like budget operative territory. Schick talked about like getting more characters on the battlefield, having characters be impactful on their unit cards and not necessarily just like a vehicle to get their command cards in your command hand. And I think Jyn is a really good example of that, right? Like even if you don't play her command cards, you can still include her in your army. She's pretty cheap for what she does and get a lot of value out of her.
And I think really depending on how you want to play her is sort of which command cards you're going to pick, right? Because if you're really looking for suppression mitigation, maybe you're going for Rebellions Are Built on Hope. If you're really looking for that sort of super solo situation, maybe you only take I Rebel. Maybe you take both if you're looking for everything. But you have the options and the character can function without a whole bunch of command card plays.
That's nice.
Is sort of the hope there.
All right, let's jump
Looking
into
forward to-
Lando.
I'm
who
looking
I think
looking
probably
forward
got
to
the
Lando.
biggest rework of all of
Yes,
these
he's
characters,
got the new
despite all of them
keyword.
getting
It's the
fancy.
only hero I don't
he
have.
does have the new keyword, so go ahead
Yeah.
and walk us through that.
So Lando, we really wanted to lean in on kind of like this support aspects while still having some, combat capabilities if he's needed. So he's got steady and he's got long shot on his blaster. He's got a pretty respectable ranged attack with a red and 3 black dice. But his keywords really give him this like support aspect. So he's got Guidance Core Trooper, which is very powerful to give a move or whatever that's needed to the core units around him. He's got Allies of Convenience. Lando's always doing deals.
Buddy
He's
Rick.
got the connections, in the underworld or in business,
up?
right? Maybe those are the same.
Same thing.
He's got this new one step ahead keyword, which is exciting. So new one step ahead during the command phase, it goes off of the card that you play. So if the card that you play and your opponent play, if the pips match, you get to choose an allied unit to make a speed 1 move. If the pips don't match, the unit that has one step ahead, so Lando in this case, gets to make a speed 1 move, right? So it kind of introduces this like mini game of like, all right, I know what I want to play, and I know I'm trying to figure out what my opponent's going to play, and based on that information, if I guess right, or wrong, because maybe you want the move
That's
on
pretty
Lando,
cool.
right? Or whoever, based on how you guess, and if you guess right, you get a free move out of it, and it just kind of represents Lando like always having an angle, always having a plan. I'm sure this keyword could appear on people in the future for similar type characters.
Planners, if you will.
Planners, if you will. And then he got his command cards got a rework. Pagani, if you'd like to read some of those. We wanted to kind of lean into that like gambler, scoundrel aspect of Lando, and so 2 of these kind of reworked ones have kind of a luck element to them.
For sure. One of the things I want to talk about before we get into what the command cards do specifically with that luck element is that Lando as a gambler is a gambler. He's
Yes.
there to take risks, but he's also always kind of got that backup plan.
Right.
So a lot of the times when we were designing this character, a lot of the things that we talked about were like, well, he's going to take this gamble, and if it goes well, it's great, but if it doesn't go well, he's got a backup.
Right.
So a lot of these have sort of that built into them. So Corellian Spike, 1 pip. It essentially lets you, I'll just read it. As Lando Calrissian's next activation, he may choose up to 1 enemy unit within range 2 and in line of sight. If he does, roll 2 red attack dice and resolve the effects shown below for each matching result. A blank, they gain 2 immobilized tokens. A hitter surge, they gain 1 immobilized token, and on a crit, Lando gains 2 immobilized tokens. So things can backfire here on poor little Lando, but hopefully it's going to work out. And then it also has a divulge during the setup step. Lando Calrissian gains Infiltrate and Incognito this game.
It's pretty good.
So he can be a sneaky boy.
Incognito
Run around doing that.
for
kind of
Lando. Cool.
stuff. And then he has Ace Up His Sleeve, which is also a 1 pip, but counts as a 2 pip. If this
So
card
already
is,
he's cheating.
He's
already
all about
cheating.
it. He's got
Yeah.
it. He's
Yeah.
tucked an extra 1 pip
Right
in there. If this card is in your command hand during the resolve command card effects step of the command phase, after revealing command cards, but before resolving command card effects, you may return your reveal command card to your hand and play this card instead. Treat this card as having been selected, played, and revealed instead of the other card.
So this is kind of a nod to the contingencies going away with
Yes.
him being able to swap out one of his cards in that way. Because we liked the contingencies idea. We didn't like how it was really implemented in the game, how it had some weird rules oddities, and it had a lot of complex language to do something very simple. So we've kind of reimagined that idea, which was really neat, into this command card.
And it is a 1 pip that I want to point out orders 2 units, orders Lando and 1 unit. So you can kind of sneak in with an extra order in there. You can this kind of stuff. You can surprise people with it. So I think there's just a lot of play here. And how that interacts with 1 step ahead is pretty cool. So you can really get all that in there.
I think that's my favorite of his new cards because it's like we said, like he cheats, right? Like he's got a backup plan. He's got the ace up his sleeve and things in case things go sideways, right? He cheats. It gets an extra order. It lets you change the card, and it's an extra 1 pip, right? So it just really captures that flavor.
And then his new 3 pip, Idiot's Array. Love the name.
Idiots
Classic
array.
Sabak.
Classic. Until the end of this round, each time an allied unit with a face-up order token makes an attack, if the defending unit is within range 2 and line of sight to Lando Calrissian, and its attack pool contains at least 1 blank, surge, and hit result during the reroll dice step, you may change 1 hit and 1 surge to a crit each.
Yeah, so it's basically just a slot machine. If you hit the jackpot, you get to change some results.
Cha-ching.
attack pool.
It's pretty cool. I like the
something that I really
little
like about these
mini
command
games.
cards. We talked about Lando being sort of this gambler, right? Is these are very short range, right? Lando has to be within range 2 of things, so that's going to require him to really move up the table, and that's not necessarily where he wants to be because he is more of a supporting commander. But I mean, he can mix it up as well. But it kind of plays with that, like Lando is aggressive. He's out there to win. He's out there to do these things. He's willing to put himself on the line, and he's willing to take the risk of that aggressive play. So I think it gives a really good flavor for the unit, and it's just really, really cool.
All right.
All right, let's move on to Cassian Andor.
Cassian.
Cassian also has moved from the commander slot to the operative slot, though he did pick up field commander.
He did, yeah. So he
and
can be
he
your
has-
commander if he has to be.
There's a couple of other changes, specifically his loadout is gone now, as reflected on his card itself. So go ahead and just talk about everything
Yeah,
here.
so I think Cassian is the one that has
Let's equip.
kind of the fewest changes. Obviously, he's now an operative instead of commander, but he has field commander, so he can still kind of be one. He's still got the 280, so those upgrade cards will be in the print and play that gets posted. And he just has infiltrate on the card instead of it being tied to covert ops. And he doesn't have loadout. And just simplifying the weapons to be, he has to equip the A280. He's got like a backup blaster on the card. Were really the only changes to him. He stayed pretty much the same for the most part. And his command cards
and
also
no
stayed the
changes
same.
to his command cards.
I
so
thought
they
the
were doing
flipping
what we
was cool
wanted.
though. No change to
All
the
right, we're
command
gonna
card.
jump
Okay.
to Iden next. Similar to Cassian, not a ton going on here, but some not insignificant changes as well.
Yeah, very similar to Iden. We just kind of simplified how her weapons work with the absence of loadout. So now she just gets to pick between the DL-20A sniper rifle or the TL-50 repeater, just on the card. She also gained Sharpshooter 1 as well, and she's got Infiltrate on the card, given that she doesn't have Covert Ops anymore. Her command cards also stayed the same. She can also take ID-10, right? ID-10 is not going away. Her command cards stayed the same, except for Tactical Strike had a very minor change of instead of ordering her and 3 trooper units, it's now her and 2 trooper units to bring the power level down on that card just a little bit.
All right, and then another
It is.
in contention with Lando for the biggest rework is Callus. Not only do we have all the changes on his card, he also got updates to 2 of his command cards as well.
He did.
So let's just walk through all that stuff.
Yeah, so kind of similar to Jin, we wanted to reimagine him as kind of this Empire middle management character, which is kind of an archetype that you're going to see, spoiler, especially with the custom build your own commanders and operatives that are coming later this year for
That's
Empire.
cool.
So
Looking
he can
forward
kind
to
of do
that.
it all, right? Like he has some light support elements. He's got direct core trooper unit. He's got some combat capabilities. So he really is kind of like a lead from the front type of character, right? He's going to be up there to do his own thing in combat, but also kind of support whatever units are around him. He's also got bounty and interrogate. Those are flavor things, as any good ISB agent would. He's going to get his man, right, that he's hunting for, and kind of like solidify that lead from the front role. Like we said earlier, his weapon's been simplified, so instead of like a flip card, it's just on his unit card with this kind of melee ranged combined range there. And his command cards got tweaked a little bit. His 1-pip Face Me, it is virtually the same, except now it provides Hold the Line, the Hold the Line keyword, which lets him surge to attack and defend while he is engaged. And his 3-pip Ruthless Tactics has been reworked a little bit. If Pagani, you'd like to read the text on that.
It's a big block.
Such a treat. This round, each time an allied unit with a face-up order token makes a ranged attack, after that attack is resolved, the defending unit gains 1 observation token. Additionally, until the end of the round, each time an allied unit declares an attack against an enemy unit that has 1 or more observation tokens, the attacking unit may spend one of those tokens. If it does, the attack pool gains suppressive. I love this card because it's just sort of like, we've got them pinned, pour it on, right?
Exactly.
And I think that's a great flavor thing here. I also really love Face Me. We kind of skipped past this because with the Immune Pierce melee, like this guy is very tanky in melee. And he can really go toe-to-toe with a lot of these Jedi and hold them up for several rounds if he needs to. So it gives Empire that sort of front line I can answer a Jedi charging
Middle
at me type
management.
situation where you don't necessarily have to have Vader to do something like that.
Right, and he may not defeat the Jedi, but he's
No.
going to hold them up for a while.
Yeah,
gonna buy
and
some time.
he's significantly cheaper in points, right? Like he's, I think, what was it 70, 75 points, 70? I think
It was something like that. Yeah.
that guy's clocking into half the points of most of these Jedi. So if you can hold it for 2 or 3 rounds, like that's probably enough to win you the game by itself. So, or at least win you the engagement, not necessarily the game. So I
Okay.
think that is a very interesting place for Callus now that doesn't really exist. Is that very cheap sort of hang out with me and let's talk. And you also get the interrogate in there as well, right? So like that's I love it. I love it so much. The flavor here is dripping. Can I
Whoa.
say that? Oozing? I don't know.
Oozing might be better than dripping, but both are not great words. All right, so that wraps up the big remaining rebalances, of course, on the characters. Again, there are some minor changes and tweaks to some of the cards in the document, as well as all the language tweaks as well. So you're going to want to download all of the new print and play documents to have all the updated cards for everything that you're going to need to be able to play the game, which is pretty fantastic and a very exciting moment for us because, again, you know, like we mentioned at Mini-Strav in July, there was going to be a process to get to this point. It's been a lot of work internally. We really have to take a moment and super thank everyone who doesn't get to be on camera who made this happen. The amazing graphic design by Ryan, who's been the mastermind behind everything with the new Legion look. Folks within graphic design who busted their butts to be able to get all these cards done within time. Our amazing producers who have worked through the entire globalization, localization process with everything. You know, all the fantastic new art that Preston did, the new amazing sculpts. Like it's an entire like team effort that has been many years in the making and a lot of work at the end. And so we're just really happy to be here. Very excited to finally be providing the entirety of the new edition into your hands right now for free.
New edition.
As a print and play document as we roll into those new starters come fall. With that said, though, with every change and addition, with every new relaunch and update, there's some things that don't quite make it on the bus. And so we want to take a moment and talk about that part of it as well to let you all know what you're not going to find in these documents, give you a little insight as to why and moving forward. So with that, let's go ahead and dive into some of the things that will not be appearing in this next phase of Legion. Starting with the DC-15 Phase 1 Heavy Weapon Trooper.
Yeah, I mean, this is one that we talked about previously, right? Like this heavy weapon option is going away because the new clone trooper marksman unit is coming, which is an entire unit of these clones. And so players, if they want to still use their DC-15 Phase 1 trooper minis, they can just use it as a clone trooper marksman.
So it will be an official proxy or replacement for the clone trooper marksman, which are releasing later this year. So that provides obviously a great spot to be able to still utilize those miniatures that you've painted and have in your collections. The next one that has been removed is the JT-12 jetpacks from the ARC Troopers. Pagani, you want to walk us through a little bit about the whys here?
Okay.
Yeah. So
There's already fast.
yeah, they're already really quick, right? Like they're moving around. They don't really need this. They've got the keywords to do that kind of stuff. That doesn't mean that your miniatures with jetpacks you gotta throw them away or anything, right? Those are still perfectly fine to use. It's just an upgrade card that we deemed we didn't need anymore, and anywhere that we could trim things that were not particularly impactful or were too impactful, to be honest. But we'll get to those in a minute. We could cut. So this was one of the cards that didn't make it in.
And the idea is they already have scale as well, so the jetpack
they're kind of already
is kind of already built into the kit. With
Glad
the
I didn't
expectation
get
that this
them,
card was going to be removed in the final version for the relaunch of the game. Next up, Rebel Pathfinders. So the Rebel Pathfinders as their own unit is going to be going away. You'll notice that Rebel Pathfinders are not in any of the card updates here. For the moment, there are various reasons for this, specifically development-wise. You know, we had many discussions with LFL and our partners there. Everything that we do has to go back through approvals and discussions, and so we want to make sure that the new state of the game reflects and represents the Star Wars lore and mythology as accurately as possible. And Pathfinders were already in a pretty full slot within the Rebel faction itself. So we've decided for the moment, at least, to remove Pathfinders as a unit choice. However, you absolutely can use all of your Rebel Pathfinders as official Rebel Troopers.
Yeah.
So if you already have some of those, you can add some diversity into your Rebel Trooper units even more so with your Rebel Pathfinders. Let's move on and talk about, which we discussed a little bit at Adepticon, the generic commander units. So obviously with the customizable commanders coming, there were some significant changes being made here in terms of their units. So there's some, if you want to walk us through kind of what's happening and where these miniatures
Yeah, so this is just kind of as we said earlier, the custom commanders and operatives that are coming later this year are going to take up some of these existing slots. So the generic Imperial Officer and Rebel Officer unit cards are going away. You can still use those miniatures as the personnel upgrades for the core units in those two factions. For the Separatists, Kraken and Kalani, those are now the names of unique units. They're not a subtitle for the generic Super Tactical Droid unit. So the generic Super Tactical Droid unit is going away. That's going to be replaced by the new custom.
Yeah, but when?
Super
Ones
Tactical Droid
coming.
Commander,
Yeah, in the future. Sorry.
I like
mouthful of words.
Mouthful words. Also, you notice the Clone Commander's on there. The Clone Commander, generic Clone Commander, will be staying as a unit card, so he's not going anywhere. But the Imperial Officer, the Rebel Officer, and the generic Super Tactical Droid will be going away.
All right.
And then the last for the units that we're going to talk about, which are not going to be making the transition to the new edition, is Emperor Palpatine and the Imperial Royal Guard are being removed from this next phase of Legion. Again, there's a lot of discussions and reasons that go into this. Some of them are game development and just design space related. Some of them are related to the current state of everything going back through and discussions with our partners at LFL and all of that. But however, these two units will not be making the transition, and there is no official capacity or replacement system for them. So you can always enjoy them on your shelf and as part of your collection as a memory of the foundation of Legion. But for the moment,
you can always enjoy them on your shelf, Rick.
Will not be appearing in any of the future releases or in the card packs in general.
That's rough.
We are not bringing them along for this next phase of the game. Okay, and with those, let's move on to the generic upgrades, which are also going to be not appearing in the new print and play documents.
Yeah, there's a handful of upgrades that for various reasons are not going to be part of Legion anymore.
True.
So we're just going to talk about these for
True.
a second. The first of which, aggressive tactics. So regardless kind of what faction it was taken in, aggressive tactics mathematically was just a little too efficient at delivering surge tokens to units with red defense dice, which substantially increases their durability. And so for this reason, some other balance reasons, we have decided to remove it from the game. Battle meditation and comms relay, these are both getting removed for the same reason. These upgrades were commonly used to kind of cheat orders onto units and kind of bypass a lot of command card restrictions, which could lead to some very unintuitive or unintended kind of gamey feeling interactions. So those are being removed. Esteemed Leader, it had some unwanted interactions with the new backup mechanic, and it was constricting design space for how that new backup mechanic and Guardian was working in some future designs. And then finally, the refurbished Gaunt Droid.
That's my boy.
It was just, the mechanic was a little bit just too efficient, and it was
my Gaunt Droid
design space. And for that reason, we've decided to, sadly, remove the Gaunt Droid.
Why?
He's just trying to do his job.
He did it too well, and that's the problem.
He did.
It was
and
good,
of course,
though.
all of these,
Shielded
with all of these removals, all of these changes, two things, whether they have an official use now or they sadly do not, every decision was made with the utmost care and consideration for the future of the game, how we plan to move forward, what new characters we want to introduce, and of course, making sure that we're proper stewards of the amazing IP that is Star Wars as well. So we all here are hobbyists. We all have many, many miniatures painted on our shelves. We love to play these games. We understand the amount of passion, time, and dedication and effort that go into each and everything that wind up on a gaming table. So trust us when we say we take these decisions very seriously, and we did our utmost best to make sure that we minimized any kind of impact on you all in the community and as players and longstanding veterans of the game. And with that, let's talk about
starter
what might
set.
be coming for the future.
The future.
The future, guys.
Also known
Okay.
as the November 2025 developer update. So important to note, there are no points adjustments to things that are not already listed in the rebalances. So if you already got a points adjustment in November, that was the last points adjustment. So there's nothing new
Okay.
points-wise here. There's several reasons for that. Pagani, I'll let you kind of go through the thoughts behind that, where we are right now
Yeah.
in terms of our analysis of the game and where we stand in terms of those kinds of adjustments.
When we launched the start of this update, right, we changed an awful lot of things. We changed mission building. We changed a lot of how battle forces work. We changed a lot of how armies are built and taken and what they need to be doing and that kind of stuff. And we did our best effort to playtest all of these things and do everything that we could do.
I know.
We know that we had some emergency changes
How
to
much
things
you
like
love
ARC troopers
your
and things like
Royal
that.
Guards.
And we had the last points update that we did.
It's
But
rough.
we still really want to see how this is all going to shake out before we do too many more changes. There's a lot of exploration left to do inside of this version of Legion. There's a lot of things that we have to learn as developers. There's a lot of things that you have to learn as the community and all those different things. So doing changes now without all of the full picture or even close to the full picture would be irresponsible. So we are really pushing to gather more information to see how all of this plays out. We're going to have all of the 5 new updated commanders here. That's going to make hopefully some big waves as we move forward. We're going to have the customizable commanders coming. We're going to have the new starter sets, all those kind of things.
I like
and we
that.
want to make sure that we understand exactly what's going on in the game before we start making points updates and changes to things. So that is why we have chosen not to do any points updates beyond what was talked about here in this update. That being said,
Yeah.
we're going to have sort of a new system thing going here where we're going to talk about what we're watching.
Yep.
Now, that doesn't mean that if it's not on the what we're watching list, it will not receive changes. No, these are just sort of the major things that we are keeping an eye on right now to say that we see you. We see the community talking about these things. We're listening, and we are keeping an eye on the things that you all think are problems, whether that be of too high power level or too low power level, or anything in between.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. And so, again, one of the big things, I think, again, just to reiterate something that we say over and over and over again on every discussion about development, balance updates, points, all of that stuff. Moving too quickly, as Pagani said, can destabilize a game and cause more problems. Every single change has a gigantic ripple effect. The November update with points for many of the clone units that were overperforming is a great example of that. Once those adjustments were made, all of a sudden you saw rebels and separatist armies that were struggling against the oppression of the clone forces and what they were able to bring to the fore shoot up, right? And we've seen a dramatic change in terms of the balance overall in those things. So little things can have dramatic effects. It's very important that we always maintain the fact that we believe very confidently and have tested as thoroughly as possible any change because of that. Looking at the whole aggregate, well, it feels like we've been with these points and with these units for a long time. It's only been slightly over 6 months. And a lot of the great data that we're now diving into came from several of the tournaments and larger events, the GTs, the Worlds Tournament, and those things that have only just concluded. So where we are now, as we show you the watch list, is we're analyzing and looking at all of that data. We're identifying trends, things that we think need adjustment. We're then going to dive into those things, discuss what those adjustments will be, and then we're going to test those things. We're going to test those changes extensively before delivering them. So as Pagani mentioned, when we show you kind of the on the watch list currently, I think are the big community talking points right now, which Tony, if you want to bring those up, it is Riot Troopers, Aqua Droids, and Sleeper Cell. Now, Aqua Droids are very new,
Sleeper Cell
and I think the
rework.
community is still
What
figuring out
Electron
how they
talked about.
play, how to play around them, what solutions and opportunities there are for them. But we do know that they've come in quite strong, so we are aware and are going to be watching those very closely and analyzing some of the data there. Riot Troopers, we've had this discussion many times. We do believe that they are slightly under. How to go about best adjusting that to make sure that they come out in a great spot and don't cause further problems is something that we are actively working on now. And Rebel Sleeper Cells, I think, is a bit of a mixed bag. We're somewhat undecided currently whether they are just strong or are they too strong. Obviously, when they came out, they're very powerful, but what we often see throughout development is that the new thing is always very powerful if it is strong because it's new. And players haven't quite figured out how to defeat them, those kinds of things. And we've seen their use throughout the tournament data and other things that we've looked at go down from where it started. They're still a mainstay of the current Rebel faction and many of the top tier army builds. So we are watching them overall, but it's possible there will be no change. It's possible a minor change. It's possible it'll be a bigger change. We'll have more to discuss on that as we get to the November update. And then last but not least, and this one doesn't have a picture because we didn't really know how to picture it, we do have the entirety of the Empire faction on our watch list right now. We have been looking at the results, looking at the data even since the November update. We do feel that overall there is something missing within their overall kit and their ability to do stuff. And so we are doing some deep dive analysis on that. However, we're not able to do that in 2 weeks. So, and nor is it something that should be done in 2 weeks, right?
Absolutely. No. Yeah.
So with that said, for Empire players out there who are feeling like
Except
they're
for logo.
a little bit behind, or maybe they're a lot behind, depending on how your experiences has been, like Pagani said, we do see you. We are of the same mind. We are looking actively at that, and whether that is the upcoming releases, as Pagani points out, the customizable commanders, some of the new releases, whether it is a combination of two, or maybe it is just going in, doing some points adjustments, doing some additional adjustments. It's difficult to say right now what that will be, but rest assured that that is something that is actively on our watch list and currently in our live discussions as a development team and everything else. Anything else I missed on that? Anything you just want to throw on the watch list to be crazy? No? All right, fine. X-34 land speeders, I'm putting it on the list. Just because I can. It's live, you can't stop me.
I think they're pretty wild. So let's party.
All right, and with that, everything is going to go live here in about, I would say 5 minutes, maybe a little bit longer, depending on how fast our marketing folks push the button. But that brings us to the end. So the print and play documents of all the updated cards, the whole shebang, the rule book. We didn't mention this, but the recon rules as well for the updated skirmish, which take skirmish from Legion skirmish to Legion recon, which is 600 points now. Those are going to be available as well. So everything for the brand new spanking edition of Legion is right there, ready to go for you all online. And of course, the printed products, as we discussed, the new card packs that will update all of the cards with physical printed versions are going to be available in Q3. Those are expected to be around August, but things may change depending on the global situation with shipping, logistics, and all that. So that is our expected release. So if you can't wait to get physical printed versions of these, that is going to be your time. Until then, you have all the print and play documents. You're ready to go. We can't wait to see what you do with all this.
All right.
We're very excited to see how games continue to shake out. And then also, as we move forward, to start introducing more and more new and cool things to the solid foundation of the new Legion. And I believe with that, we are done. We will see you next time for the developer update in November, where some of the things on the watch list I'm sure will be watched.
November.
By that point, very thoroughly. Yeah.
Potentially addressed, or if not addressed at that time, we will give you an update on where we are internally in terms of our testing and our understanding of it. Because again, our goal is to make sure that every change that we make is thoroughly vetted and only adds to the health of the game. It doesn't just change things for change's sake, because that is not what we believe healthy game development does. And we want to make sure that we're always offering the best experience possible. And with that, we want to make sure that every change that we make only leads to a more positive outcome rather than a different outcome. So thank you so much for joining us. There is going to be an article that's posted online that also addresses and summarizes a lot of the points and discussion that we had here. So if you missed something or you want some more clarification, that article will be a great place to go to. Or if you have friends or people in your community who are like, I don't want to listen to these guys jabber for 45 minutes, they can read an article. Of course, we're going to be on a lot of different podcasts, so if you have a favorite community podcast, likely they'll be grilling us over all this stuff, and we'll be providing more insight and information there. And with that, go forth in Legion. Thank you so much for joining us. Can't wait to see you on the next one. Goodbye.
Cool. All right, guys. As we would say in the Netherlands, brand los. What do you guys think? What do you guys think? My first thoughts. They're calling it a new edition. Awesome. No, let's not make jokes about that any longer. I mean, it was always a new edition, and everybody called it a new edition except for AMG. But now it is really a new edition. which is great. They're going to change the things when you're at range, within range. They're just going to change some wording on that. Changes to area terrain. If I understand correctly, they're also going to count the base of the area terrain, which is funny because me and Rick, we talked about that a little bit while playing Bolt Action. We kind of house ruled our area terrain rules in Bolt Action because we were clearly able to see each other with two tanks, like my tank and Rick's tank, throughout the trees, but rules is written, you cannot shoot through the area terrain because you're shooting through a bunch of trees. We were like, I can clearly see you. So, you know, yeah, we kind of house ruled that. It looks like it's the same with Legion now, but correct me if I'm wrong. Like I said, I am not really into the new version of Legion. There was a thing with they're changing the silhouettes, as in the legs. No, the arms and the legs are not. They're not blocking line of sight anymore. Yeah, and another thing that I like is I like that they are bringing down some of the commanders to being operatives, because I think it is it's more thematic like this. I'd rather think of, you know, most of the heroes to be operatives instead of commanders. I always thought that. That's why I took a generic rebel commander, for example. We don't have that anymore, apparently. There's a little outbreak coming in, by the way. But yeah, that's for Twitch. Gosh, yeah, I'm it's cool. We did like Electro Nugget kind of predicted, and most of us said we didn't get a lot of new stuff. No new products. I have the feeling that they're still kind of figuring things out. Elephant in the room, though. Wait, let me switch over first. Elephant in the room, where I don't know. It's for me. It is. It's kind of a bummer that the Pathfinders are gone. For me personally, I'm just going to talk about my own thoughts here again. But I'm pretty bummed out about the fact that the Pathfinders are gone. Partly because I was just finishing the unit. I like the characters in there, although, you know, yeah, those were gone as well. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'm not stoked about that. But I can see that it's probably necessary. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, you can now make rebel super squads. Yeah. They're just rebel whatever now. I mean, are they veterans? Are they rebel troopers now? How would you feel them? I think veterans, maybe. It's just that I really like the theme of the Rogue One stuff with the Pathfinders and Jin and Cassian, who both cannot be commanders anymore, because I think Cassian is also not a commander anymore. Not entirely sure. Troopers, as troopers, yeah. I don't know. I'm just going to get my audio in, guys. Yeah. Rick was... Rick is kind of bummed out about his Emperor Palpatine and the guard. I can imagine, because they looked amazing on the battlefield. It's too bad that they're gone now. It could be a licensing thing. I really don't know. But yeah, I don't know. Just give me a second, guys. Just give me a little second. Yeah, it does make sense. Surely makes sense. I'm glad I waited until this before painting mine. Yeah. It's just I'm letting it sink in at the moment. But overall, I think I think most of the things that they talked about, in addition to whatever they released, is positive. And they're balancing, which is great. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't even know what to say. We saw it all, and I want to know what you guys think. Like I said, personally, kind of bummed out about the Pathfinders being gone because I like the unit a lot. Yeah, that's about all the things that we can talk about. They talked a little bit about like line of sight things, which they haven't really reworked, like a little bit, but not to what I would have wanted personally. Then again, like I said, like we're playing bolt action now, and we're kind of house ruling stuff. So yeah. The upgrade size and not having artwork on them feels weird to me. Yeah, that's how I feel about that as well. It hasn't changed for me, to be honest. You know, like the big icon and everything. But yeah, Legion is it is back. It is going to take a while for everything to settle, because you know I think we're going to get some big updates in November again. What I do want to talk about, and that is maybe I'm so out of the Legion community that this makes sense to all of you, but I don't get why there's not a 2-player starter set. I know that they're going for the army sets that they have, like the army starters, which are great. I love them. I'm going to get the Rebel one for sure, because it's the way for me to get, you know, the new Rebel troopers and some of the other stuff. I think the Commandos came with it as well. So yeah, that's great. But can someone name one war game that doesn't have a 2-player starter set? Because I'm really curious about if that exists. If there's 2-player starter sets are such a great product for beginners to get into. And like I said at the beginning of this video, I'm making a video specifically for beginners, for people that are getting into Star Wars Legion right now, and the starter armies are great for that. But a 2-player starter set, that is what you used to do with Legion. You used to just get a 2-player starter set for that, and there is none right now. 2-player starter sets are also a great way to easily get 2 ways of playing a game. Yeah, exactly. That is also if you're indecisive of what faction you wanted to get. And do you have any plans for any kind of battle report like videos? It would be very interesting to see example of bolt action. Well, this is a Star Wars Legion kind of stream setup, but yeah, a battle report is definitely coming for bolt action. Me and Rick, who is over in the Twitch chat, my buddy Rick, we're getting familiar with the rules of bolt action. And it's going quite well. We had a pretty tough game the last time that we played bolt action, because we had to look up everything, but that was also because we wanted to double check things, and it was the first time that we're doing vehicle against vehicle, like tank versus tank, which is a different thing altogether. But we're getting ready for battle reports for sure. Yeah, yeah. Honestly, I think it was a bit of a downer after the high of Adepticon. Pretty wild they are removing Empire units when they're struggling so bad, and don't agree that waiting for points adjustments was a good tactic. Yeah. Yeah, I cannot feel but I cannot help but feel a little bummed as well, Electronugget. But that is just my personal opinion on, you know, the Pathfinders going away. And I know that all of you people, most of you people that play the meta and everything, and they're like, yeah, but Pathfinders, this and that and this and that. No, I just like the unit. I just like the Pathfinder unit a lot. It was nice. It was nice to have like a specialized unit for that, and it is gone, or it's going to be gone. Is it gone? I'm not sure, and that's personally why I'm bummed out about it. I don't want to get too negative about like all the other stuff, because I think there's a lot of good stuff for people here. Yeah, I don't care about the meta, man. Like if you're out, if you're here, and you're a super competitive player, this is not the channel for you, unfortunately. I do not care about the meta. It is nice to have a good balanced game, and it should be somewhat, you know, fair to all the factions, of course. And I hope they balance it well. Yeah. Yeah, rebels don't have as iconic generic troops as the rest of the faction, so taking one of them away feels bad. Exactly, Radium. Exactly. We don't have like the you know, I'm talking for the rebels, of course. If you're new, I'm a rebel at heart. But yeah, yeah, I'm going to miss the the Pathfinders. I'm going to miss the boys. Still going to include them in my army, obviously. Yeah, they are gone, Chaos. They're gone. And yeah, nobody used Palpatine or Royal Guard in the current meta. Yeah, and that's exactly what. That's exactly what. Maybe this is exactly what I was afraid of. Like and if you follow my channel, if you're subscribed to my channel, you probably know this, because I say this in every single video. I am not a competitive Star Wars Legion player at all. I don't even know what a competitive list looks like. I'm not out to make competitive lists. I'm out to make a Rogue One list, for example. And one of the themes that me and Rick always play, we always had like a kind of theme in our games, you know. For example, Palpatine. You know, Palpatine running the show. So that's too bad. And the same with the Pathfinders. I'm kind of repeating myself all the time now. I sound like a little spoiled little brat. Like, don't take away my Pathfinders, please. But yeah. Overall, I hope they're doing the right thing for all the competitive players out there. But thematically speaking, like I talked to my buddy Rick about this. He said to me, like, why don't we just play like the old edition of Star Wars Legion, like the one that you got in the starter set? Well, probably because it's awfully unbalanced, but yeah, I mean, why not? You know, I know the rules for that one. The upgrade cards are still small. Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to sound too, you know. I don't want to sound too negative again about this. Because I'm really, really excited for new Legion. It is good that there's new product coming. It is good that new players are going to be able to jump in. But to me personally, I felt that I needed something from this developer update. And I'm not sure that I got exactly that. I don't know what it was that I was looking for, to be honest. But yeah. No, they don't take these decisions lightly. I'm sure of that. Yeah, time will tell. Time will tell. And that is kind of like maybe the problem that I apparently still have with this whole thing is that they could have waited with this for some time, right? Like yeah, exactly, Rick. Exactly. I'm feeling you, buddy. That is what I was also looking for, and yeah, I'm not saying it's not there. Because the spark is definitely back for Star Wars Legion for me, you know, with all the new stuff and everything. But the new edition, it didn't really grab me yet. It's weird that they're removing the units and not make them legends like how GW does it. Yeah, I think in some way they are doing that. I mean, you can still play them, right? Like GW just says legends and slaps a label legends on them, but really you can play whatever you want. You know, we are in a time right now that everything has to be updated, and oh damn, I need the latest errata and the latest FAQ on this and that. You know, we don't need to do this. You know, we don't need to do this. It's just if you want to keep up. But then again, you know, like the second edition of Bolt Action, the previous one, I think it ran for a decade or something. I don't know for how long exactly, but it ran for a decade. The same went with the Middle Earth strategy battle game. It ran for a decade without any significant things happening. And maybe it's a good thing, you know, that it doesn't get touched. And I'm pretty curious to see if there's going to be like a little community for the old Star Wars Legion. And like you guys are saying, Electro Nugget and Celestian, probably not, because it was maybe an inferior game or something. But yeah, I have yet to I've yet to accept it. I think that it's better, and I haven't played a lot of it. You know, to be completely fair, like I said in the beginning of the stream, I don't play a lot of Legion at the moment. I'm playing a lot of Bolt Action at the moment, and yeah, it's as simple as I'm enjoying it a bit more than I do with Legion, and maybe that will change, and maybe I am just the kind of player that needs something like, okay, here is a new edition, like they're doing right now, and I'm going to get that rule book and download it and read it and everything. But yeah, I like a system to kind of age a little bit. So yeah. I'm not a person that is going to jump in right now, like with the new edition and printing and all that kind of stuff, like we talked about. if a game should be established a little bit, and yeah. Did Bolt Action get 0 updates for 10 years? No, probably not, Electro Nuggets. Probably not. Probably there were some updates, but I do know that there's that it's been quite steady. Yeah, I don't know if I'm not sure if it is fair either, Electro Nugget. I'm just saying from my personal perspective that if you could just choose and play an old edition of something when you're playing it with just one body. And yeah, you might want to do that for Legion. I might want to do that for Legion. Let me rephrase that. I'm not ready to get into the new edition of Legion right now. Maybe in November. But you're right. I'm not the kind of I'm not the kind of person that like even when I played 40K, I was not the kind of person that went for the newest erratas or oh shit, there's something new, so I have to get it right now just because it's new rules. I never work like that. Yeah, I mean, we're live, Electro Nugget, so it is hard for me to explain the kind of gamer that I am. But I like to be in a maybe a little bit in a comfort zone or something with the game. And I was right in that comfort zone with Star Wars Legion up until the announcement last year. Even though it was a deeply flawed system, even though it was unbalanced, even apparently, because I never realized that it was unbalanced. And maybe it was because me and Rick never played to win. Like I mentioned, like we never played to win. Maybe a little bit, but I'm not going to take a certain unit because I know it is going to destroy Rick in a game. That is not the way that it works for me. And yeah, I mean, I went up against a Panzer. What was it called? What was the tank? Now I don't remember the name. But in Bolt Action with my one little Sherman. And the coolest thing, that it was not a competitive list at all. Rick had like anti-tank stuff that should have blown up my Sherman immediately. But, I mean, I hit his tank a couple of times. Totally out. I mean, we were not outnumbered, and we were not even, the points were kind of balanced, but it was an epic game nonetheless, even though it didn't make any sense. It was a surprise attack by the Germans, like the Germans knew what was going to happen. They knew that a Sherman was coming. Let's just, and that is the kind of themes that I like. I don't need a super balanced force. We're still throwing dice around, Luck is still a factor. And yeah, if I don't want any luck in the games, I wouldn't play any like dice dice games anyways. And yeah, for Star Wars Legion right now, it is yeah, it is what it is, like you can get in a new edition, and I'm probably going to get into the new edition, but I've been saying that for some months now, and I'm still not really feeling it at the moment. I'm still looking for like the best game experiences, and I'm still looking for the one game that I really like the most, I guess. And for some weird reason, for some weird reason, Star Wars Legion 1.0 or 2.5 or whatever it was. I think we played mostly 2.5 actually, 2.5 Legion. It was a sweet spot. It was a total sweet spot. And whenever it gets like super competitive, I'm out. You know, I don't like that. Moonstone is a great example of a game that is. I mean, we talked about it a little bit on Discord as well. It's really not that balanced, but for some reason it just works. You know. Yeah, probably. Probably we just need to grab some models and some dice and just play a bunch. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So to kind of recap about the developer update, I mean, I'm sure it's great things that we're hearing. I think there's good stuff coming in, you know, especially with the new starters, and yeah, it's pretty good. I'm thinking ahead about the video that I'm going to make tomorrow, though, for total beginners. Like, how would you start Star Wars Legion today? Should you wait? Should you get the old starter sets? Should you buy... There's a new approach now in the video, so it's a good thing that the Moss Geek told me to wait for this one. I mean, should you get the Pathfinders maybe as cheap units? Are they going to be cheap? Yeah. Shulbach, in regards to Moonstone balance, I checked out Longshanks and the win rate is pretty balanced over the factions and sub-factions. Yeah, that's what I what I thought. I did play against fairies though, which was, oh my lord. You kind of need to bring like what's her name, like the fairy hunter. Yeah, that's the thing. That is the thing, Celestian, and I really want to distinguish my channels from the competitive channels and the meta. But you know this, man. I'm only in here for the thematic stuff. Shulbach, yeah, those should just be removed. Well, Celestial, there you go. The fairies are OP. Nah, but you know, that is one thing that I will do, because the person that I played against, she was very, very afraid of the fairy hunter. I'm not sure what her name was. I'm going to check it out. Moontome app. It's the Commonwealth Fairy Hunter card compendium. Please show the model with paint. Oh, this one. Yeah. I can show it off. My dude. It's just base coated though. I need to do some shading and everything on this guy. Let's see if this works. Yeah, I need to do some shading on him, obviously. But this is Dutch Vanderlinde, man. Dutch Vanderlinde of the Vanderlinde gang. For an awesome game, by the way. An awesome game. Called Dead Man's Hand. Yeah, her name. I mean the name for this girl. Gertrude, the fairy hunter. Is there anything specific against fairies, though? What? I thought that was... Yeah. Oh, of course, of course. All models within the pulse suffers 1 wound for each energy token that... Ouch. Yeah, I can understand. And that is what Sarah, my opponent, was talking about. She because I asked her like, what is the counter for this? And she said, Gertrude. So yeah. Guys, I will be right back. I'm going to get myself a little drink because I am very thirsty.